Hello, my name is Masao Suzuki, and I'm your professor for Econ 100 Principles of Macroeconomics for this fall of 2021. Welcome back, everybody. I hope you had a good and hopefully safe summer. I hope you had an opportunity to get out a little bit, although I hope you also were able to play it a little safe and, if at all possible, it's safer if you're vaccinated. So anyway, but you won't be have to worry about me because we'll be miles apart this whole semester. Um, anyway, unfortunately, as you know, we're in the fourth wave of a pandemic. It's not as bad in California as it is in some parts of the country, especially in the South. And it's not as bad where I'm living in Santa Clara County and also San Mateo as in other parts of California. Um, anyway, just to go back to the class, we're going to have the whole class is going to be through Canvas. There's 47 modules. There is one sort of post-final module just telling you about grades and stuff like that. But the rest of them will be either lectures, especially for this first module, there'll be a lot of information about the class, having a syllabus, this video. There's an assignment that I encourage you to work on. The assignment does not involve any economic knowledge. It's just a way for me to get to know you a little bit. Let's see, what is macroeconomics or Economics 100? Basically, we're going to take an overview to the economy as a whole. We'll start off in module number 2, which will be on Friday, assuming it'll be on Friday, the second class of the session. We'll start with gross domestic product, which measures the economy as a whole. So note that this is a synchronous class, which means we will be having Zoom lectures at a set time. So it's sort of, in my view, a pseudo face-to-face class, except for being face-to-face. It'll be like you watching me, and you and I will not see most of you. I welcome you if you turn your videos on, but it is not required. Let's see. Of course, we'll be talking about what's happened with the economy. We just went through what evidently was the shortest recession on a record. It was very deep. It was the deepest decline in the economy since the Great Depression. But there was also a very fast bounce. And in my view, it's probably better to be seen as a nationwide and indeed worldwide natural disaster rather than a classic recession. And so as we go through, you'll find out, or you'll learn that there are many, many different ways that the last recession or last economic downturn was different than other recessions. The service sector was hit the hardest, which is typically the service sector is hit less hard. And in some recessions, the service sector doesn't decline at all. Usually it's the goods and services and housing that are hit the hardest. Women lost their jobs faster than men, which again is unusual, usually because it's construction and manufacturing that are hit. Usually the men's unemployment rises faster. Right at the beginning, Asian American unemployment spiked more than any other group, and that again is unusual. Usually the spike is led by African American and or Chicano and Latino workers getting laid off. So there's just many, many differences. We're still down despite the sharp bounce, about 5 million jobs. Unemployment insurance levels are coming in at almost twice the pre-pandemic level. So I definitely wouldn't say we're back to a pre-pandemic economy. And of course, unfortunately, we still have the pandemic with us. Despite the large number of vaccinations, of course, there's still a lot of infections being driven by the COVID, the Delta variant. So even in my county, which has the percentage of people over 12 who have been vaccinated is close to 80% in Santa Clara County where I live, but still the number of measures, the number of daily infections is up 4 or 5 times since bottoming out in early June. The test positivity rate, which is another measure, it's what percentage of COVID tests come back showing the person is in fact infected, has jumped more than 5-fold since June. So basically there is still a pandemic among the, especially among the unvaccinated, although it's also, there are a number of what are called breakthrough infections of people who have been vaccinated. Luckily, because of the high rates of vaccination among the elderly, that the death rates are a lot lower than the last time we had this number of new infections. But still, people are going to the hospital, and people, including young people, are dying. Let's see, there was a massive, and I'll talk about that in class too, government response. Trillions of dollars were spent by the federal government, and trillions of dollars in loans, and money was created by the Federal Reserve. So we'll talk about all of that. But we'll see what happens with the economy, because very soon, at the beginning of September, about 3/4 of the people now receiving unemployment benefits will be dropped because the federal pandemic unemployment programs are ending, and those who remain, their payments will be cut in half. The Federal Reserve is talking about cutting back on its aid to the economy. And of course, we have an eviction moratorium ending September 30th. The only rather better news is, for those of you, any of you have student loans, there is still a moratorium on repayment until September 30th. Now note, almost all student loans, if you're actually in school, so if you're watching this video, you shouldn't have to worry about it. Let's see. In this first video, in this first module, be sure and check out the syllabus. Check out, as I mentioned before, assignment number 1. There is a very brief content part, or lecture part in the content part of this module. There's an important section on how to contact me in terms of both my email, which is best if you use the Canvas email, because that way I know which class you're in. And otherwise, if you have a class-based question and I just see your name, I have well over 100 students, and we can waste time bouncing back, which class are you in, et cetera, et cetera. So use Canvas. I do have office hours, and my Zoom, office hours Zoom link is in the part saying instructor communication. I'm hoping, and I don't think it'll be ready quite yet, but as soon as it is, and I'll let you know, I'll have a brief part on tutors availability, but often that won't get settled till like the first or second week of the semester. So even though, we've gone through some really hard times and there's still a lot of uncertainty of what's happening, one could say this is a great time to study economics. Now, one subject that I won't be talking about that much, but it is very important is what's happening with the climate. I'm recording this video on Tuesday, August 10th, about a week before classes start to try and keep things current. And the intergovernmental, I can't remember the whole name, Agency on Climate just released a very dire report, and we can see some of the effects of climate change in terms of the drought and the wildfires, flooding, and this is, these impacts are going to be greatest in the third world and on poorer countries, especially island nations, but they're definitely going to affect us here in the United States. So relatively better off countries and better off parts of the world, like in Germany, they had massive flooding. Well, actually in China, it's a small city of just 3 million people, got a massive flood just a couple of weeks ago, and hundreds of people died in that flood. People were trapped in the subway stations, etc. So that is a a relatively advanced part of China, and yet was hit with this massive flooding. And so flooding and drought are sort of two opposite sides of the climate change going on. For any of you who are interested, I'm hoping next fall I'll actually have a class on the economics of the environment that will include stuff on climate change. And in my micro class in Econ 102, I do have a section on that. But economics is a little bit compartmentalized, so feel free in office hours or even if it's relevant in class to ask questions about it. But I just want to note that generally I won't be talking about what is actually a major worldwide issue. Anyway, I'm sure I left stuff out. This is still only my, let's see, third semester of teaching online. So each semester I feel like, oh, I got it now. And then stuff comes up that I'm like, oops. And so I'm sure I will learn. I'll have a few oopsie moments this semester, but I do look forward to seeing everybody. I have been on campus. I have to move my office, so I'll be up there. I'm going in and 2 more times. Well, actually, only 1 more time before school starts, and then I'll be up there on weekends. And I hope all of you have a good and safe semester. If you have any pre-class questions, you can email me if in fact you can see this before the class starts. Email me, of course, at suzuki@smccd.edu. But be sure and please try and mention which class, is it 100 or 102, and then what's the day and time, so I can figure out how best to help you. Anyway, I think I am running out of time. I'm just looking over my notes, but I don't see anything that I missed. So I look forward to seeing you. Our first class is going to be on Wednesday, August 18th at either 9:15 or 10:15 a.m. And you should get a notice through Canvas of the Zoom session. And I will see you then. Bye.